Hello everyone. In today's video, we'll see objects JavaScript. Objects are very core to JavaScript. JavaScript is an object-based language. So it is often said, if you understand the concept of object, you understand JavaScript. Before we go into the technical details of object, let's see objects in a real-world example. So let's take an example of a car. So car, in a sense, is just an abstraction. There's nothing called a car, right? So when you go and purchase a car, you buy a car with certain attributes associated to it. Let's say take an example, right? For example, if you buy Mercedes C class, right? So Mercedes C class is the actual real world object, which is of type car, which is an abstraction. So I'll just repeat the statement that the BMW C class is an actual real world object, but the car is just a concept. Now, this particular car, BMW, it qualifies to be called as a car because it has a certain properties. For example, wheels, steering wheel, engine, shape, body type, all those things, right? So, whichever thing qualifies these particular attributes falls into a wider category called as car. For example, let's say you have this uh, Tesla model, which is also of type car because it again has all the properties which we just mentioned for BMW, the number of wheels, steering wheels, engine, horsepower, whether it's an electric car or not. So all those. Let's open Visual Studio, create a new file. We'll call it as object.js. Now, how do you create an object in JavaScript? So creating an object in JavaScript very simple. You see, you can use a let keyword and then say that say my object and this. So this early brackets denotes an empty object. So this is an empty object. So right now this object has nothing. It is just empty. If you remember, we were talking about type of or the data types in our previous video. So if you try to see the data type of this particular variable, let's see what is the data type of our first object or say my object. Okay. You can run the program using the code runner extension, which we installed in our previous video. If you have not installed it, this is the extension we want to install. I've already installed it. So once you've installed it, just hit F1. You see run code here. If you don't see run code, just type run code here. Hit this and you'll see the type of my object is object. Oh, sorry, I have not written type of, so let me write type of. Let's rerun it again. This time you see the data type of my object is object. Okay, so as I said, this is an empty object, there's nothing inside it, but let's see, let's create an object for the example we just saw, right? So let me create a car, say model X. So now you know that this model has certain attribute associated with it, right? So say brand, which in this case is say Tesla. You can have say color, let's say red, whether it's an EV. So yes, true. So similarly, you can keep on adding such properties, right? Again, let me try to see the same thing, right? Let me try to see the type of model X, F1, run code. Okay, so if you see the type of, okay, my bad, let me write model X, okay. So the type of model X is also object, right? But this was an empty object, but this is an object with certain properties. Now, suppose once you have created the object, but you want to add some properties later after the creation, because this is, say, creation of an object. Now if you want to, let's say, add or extend your object, you want to add, say, new property, say horsepower. Now 670. Okay, so now you have extended it. So now your model X has a new property called as horsepower. Similarly, if you want to see the value, what is the value? If you want to print that value, right? So let's say you want to print the brand, okay, or you want to access, say, the horsepower which you just created. Using the dot operator, right, you can access the properties of your object. So this is your object and this is the property. Okay, again, hit F1 in your code. So if you see, right, when you printed this, you got the value as Tesla, so you are able to access the property. So when you write this, right, the object dot property, you get the value. So the value of your property brand is Tesla. Similarly, the value of your property horsepower is 670. I hope this makes it very clear. How do you create an object in JavaScript, and how do you access its property, and how you extend your object by adding new property later after creation. There's another way of creating object in JavaScript, that's using a new keyword. For example, let's say you want to create a new object. So we saw another example of, say, Altro's car. So you can write, okay, it's of type new object. Okay. Similarly, you can extend it and add properties. For example, say Altro's dot brand, mention data, Altro's dot the color. Let's add black color, and Altro's dot, say, is EV. Or you can say false because it has both the variants. So now, again, if you try to get the, say, data type, because you created it using new terminology, it would still remain the same. So let's use the type of method, and I'll choose. And if you want to access the properties, you access that using, so let's say, the color of. If you want to display the color only, then this. So you write ultros dot color. Hit F1 and code. Oh, so you see the color of ultros is black, the data type of ultros is object, same thing. Now there are multiple properties, right? So if you don't want to access each and individual properties like this, right, you don't want to repeat your statement again and again, you can use a for statement and iterate over individual property. Now select properties in, you can just write your object name. If you're not comfortable with the concept of for loop, we'll cover it later, but just For your understanding purpose, I'm just writing this. So this is your property. Okay, let's run this program. So you see what we have got? We have got all the properties, okay, but not the values, because what we have done, we have printed all the properties. But if you want to get the values also, so let me modify this statement. Or if you want to access the value, you can write something like this, because altros is your object, and now you have this properties, okay. Or if you want to make it neat and clean, you can also write that the value, or let's write like this. So property and its value. Okay. Again, if you're not clear with this concept, I'll cover this concept again in some other video. But again, just for making you understand that you can iterate, or you can, yeah, loop over your object, when it has multiple properties. Okay, let's run our program again. This time, if you see your property, its value, property, its value, so you can iterate over your object. So I'll keep this video simple. There are again additional or advanced concept related to object, because as I mentioned at the start of the video, object is something huge in JavaScript. So in fact, everything in JavaScript is object, right? So we'll cover object in detail in our further videos. But I think for this particular video, this is enough. I personally believe, right? So I'll close this video here. If you have any questions, put those in comments. And if you like the video, please click on like button and subscribe. Thank you.